Thumbelina. Once upon a time, there lived a woman who was very lonely and longed to have a child of her own. She spent all her time in her lovely garden, sowing and watering the plants. How I wish I had a child to love and care for it, she sighed. One day, while she was working in her garden, an old woman visited her. "Why do you look so sad, my dear?" said the woman. "I have no child. I am so lonely," said the woman. "Sow this magic seed in a pot tonight," said the old woman. "In the morning, you will have the child you want so much." The woman sowed the seed in a pot, watered it, and left it by the window. When she woke up the next day, she was delighted to find that the seed has grown into a beautiful plant with a small yellow bud. As she looked, the bud bloomed into a lovely flower, and kneeling on the flower, there was a tiny little girl. "Oh!" cried the old woman. "You are so small, just as my thumb. So shall I call you Thumbelina?" She made Thumbelina a bed out of a walnut shell and lined with the soft cotton. Every night she kissed Thumbelina and tucked her into her bed by the window. One night there was a terrible storm. A strong gust of wind shook the branches of the tree. The wind blew Thumbelina's shell out of the open window into a lily pond just below. Thumbelina fell out of her bed onto a leaf. She lay there fast asleep. A family of toads lived beside the lily pond. Next morning, when the sun came up, Mother Toad hopped around the pond looking for some flies. Suddenly, she saw Thumbelina curled up fast asleep on a lily leaf. "Oh, what a pretty little bride she will make for my son. Dradak, dradak," she croaked. Mother Toad hopped away to call her son. Thumbelina woke up and was amazed to find two toads staring at her. She screamed in fear, and they began pushing the lily leaf towards the tall weeds at the edge of the pond. "Don't be afraid," croaked the mother toad. But Thumbelina went on screaming. A butterfly heard Thumbelina's cries. She swooped down and said to her,
"Quick, climb up on my back."
The butterfly took her to the house of old kind mouse who lived at the foot of a large tree. When Thumbelina told her that she had no home, she invited her to live with her. One day, an old mole visited at the mouse's house. He had a long snout and smoked a pipe. He liked Thumbelina and wanted to marry her. The mole took her to see his tunnel under the ground where he lived. Thumbelina did not like the mole's house. It was too cold and dark. In the mole's house, Thumbelina saw a sailor who was hurt. An eagle flying past has dropped him on a thorny bush, and the mole has brought him home. Thumbelina took out his thorns from the swallow's body and put some ointments on all his wounds and tied bandages around them. Thumbelina took good care of the swallow all through the winter. Soon he was well again. They became good friends. "I don't want to marry the mole," sobbed Thumbelina one day.
Then come away with me,
said the swallow, and together they flew to the land of summer. In the land of summer, Thumbelina met a prince who was just tiny as she was. He fell in love with her. "Will you marry me?" he asked. "Oh yes," replied Thumbelina. The prince took her to meet his parents, and they got married and lived happily ever after. So, the moral of the story is, we will encounter many problems and obstacles in our lives.